Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money, with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 778 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Jay Aigner, and this guy started a software testing company in his basement. And he also has a cool morning routine. We love to hear about those, and including something, I think this is a typo, but it's meditating instead of meditating. So I think that's a typo, but it is a cool thing. In fact, I went to Enom and tried to buy the domain meditating, and it was already gone. So, and he's got lots of hobbies, and I hope he's making them tax deductible. And plus, how many people on here do you know have been turned down by Uber? All right, you got to try to get turned on by Uber. So we'll get him to tell that story too. So make sure you download a copy of my automation ebook. You will thank me. It'll save you. I mean, we actually estimated it saved me 8 million keystrokes over the years. Just one of the tips in there, and that's not exaggeration. We really tried to estimate it. And the other thing, I want you spending time with your customers and prospects and developing products and services, not fighting with your computer. So pick up a copy of that at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Follow me at Digital Multimillionaire and TikTok. And also our podcast app is now in the App Store, but it's only for iOS right now. We're begging Libsyn to hurry up and get the Android version out, but it's not yet. So check that out. All right, let's get to the main event. Jay Aigner is CEO of JDA QA. And QA, when I first heard about this guy, I thought, man, he's got a question and answer software. What is that? I said, no, that's my naivete. It's a software testing agency. And with around $2 million in annual revenues, and he's the father of 5. He's an amateur astrophotographer, which I didn't know what that was either. A student pilot, that's close to my heart, a hockey player, and a podcast host. His podcast is called The First Customer, and he interviews successful founders about how they got their first customers. So, Jay, are you ready to screw?
Yes, sir, I am. What an introduction. Thank you, sir. Nice to be here, Tom.
No problem, man. You must be a pretty fertile guy. I hear you had your first kid at 19.
I did. I call him my college experiment. Yeah, and number 6 is on the way. So,
boy, yeah.
Just keep it going. I want a full football team.
Well, the nice thing about it is I know since you got out of the dreaded job, you've been really spending all your time with your kids, which is just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, some days it's wonderful. No, it's my kids don't know a world where I'm not, more than or less than 10 feet away from them. So it's a good life, man. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, so let's talk about. We'll get to your first customer in a minute, but you worked in the industry at a 9-to-5 for years, and the question on a lot of people's minds that listen to this show is, how did you transition? Was it cold turkey? You just quit, or you got fired, or you saved up money to start a company? How did you make the transition from 9-to-5 to starting your business?
I took the slightly easier path, I think, which was to start a consulting gig while I had my 9-to-5 job, which is kind of what I tell everybody who I talk to. I picked up some gigs on Upwork, and that was kind of around the time I got turned down by Uber. I mean, my wife's a long-term care nurse for pediatrics, which is like a horrifyingly sad job to go to every day.
Right.
And I wanted to get her out of there. And so I was trying my best and was looking up any option to do that. I tried Uber, tried overnight stock boy at Walmart, like trying to figure out how do I get more hours out of the day. And I stumbled across elance.com, which is now Upwork. And I started picking up side gigs using the experience I had built up over the years, and, just kind of built it from there.
So was there any conflict with the place you were working for, with you doing side hustles in that same field?
I didn't ask.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
might there have been?
I don't think so. I mean, okay. I did a lot before hours and after hours. There were times where I'd take phone calls on a break in the stairwell, at work. But for the most part, I really tried to give my full attention and time to my main job. But anytime I could do in between, I would sneak in, client engagements or answer an email here and there. But I as an employer now, I wouldn't be upset if one of my people had a side hustle as long as they're giving me the time that they're being paid for. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, and I know you have like 60. Are they actual employees? I saw you had a lot of Filipino access there, which we believe is the best place on earth to outsource to. But
100%, 100% agree.
So are they contractors or employees or what?
So I have three main hubs. We have the United States, we have co-located team down in Mexico, and then we have our offshore team in the Philippines. Everybody's W-9 contractors, very flexible. And as I'm sure you know, a lot of the big corporations pull people and train people from the Philippines. So if you can come over there with a good business offer, you can get some really good talent and treat them like human beings that they don't get in the corporate jobs they have over there. They'll be happy to work for you. They're very loyal, very smart, very just incredible people over there. So yeah, we've got a really big contingent in the Philippines that we built kind of organically. I had a project I was working, actually found a guy on Upwork to help me with a project. We had to do 5,000 test cases in a week for this healthcare marketplace in Iowa. We worked together nonstop pretty much every day for 7 days straight, and basically built the team out off of just meeting him. And since then, like I said, we've grown to around 60 people, and a big contingent of that is our Philippines team.
Yeah, we've done a lot of training on that, on how to hire and how to treat the people from the Philippines, because there's cultural things that you have to understand. So we got other episodes on that. So your first customer, how did you get your first customer? And it must have happened while you were working 9 to 5, right?
Yep, it was through Upwork. It's funny that you asked me that, and I don't have a direct answer on demand, considering I have a podcast called The First Customer. It was one of a couple, probably a couple different mobile apps. I was just doing some simple testing for them, and they had a need. Found them on Upwork. Kind of learned how to sell myself, which is a big thing that I think any business owner probably struggles with initially, but then starts to figure out. And then once I started to figure that out, the customers started flowing. But yeah, the initial customers were just kind of based off my expertise and my background. They liked what I did. They had a need for it. I filled it, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So now, what you do? I want to make sure people understand what you do. You test software. You do what they call penetration testing and so forth for other companies that have developed the software, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. We do quality assurance as a service, which is basically, a lot of product companies or SaaS companies or custom software development companies that make a bunch of products for other people. They don't want to deal with testing. They don't want to deal with having all the devices and figuring out which browsers should be on and how do we automate this stuff, and how can 50,000 users get on at the same time doing performance testing, and oh my God, can people steal our data with penetration testing? So we kind of fill that void, and we do it in a scalable way, which is why people hire us, honestly, because it's a very cyclical nature, software development. Things are built, they're tested, they're deployed, and then there's a little bit of downtime. So the ability for companies to scale up and scale down, not necessarily have to have a W-2 employee or a team of W-2 employees on staff all the time when they're not working, 40 hours a week all the time, is really advantageous to us and our customers.
Yeah. Now, one thing that came up with me, because I've worked for several celebrities, I can't name them, but I hated every second of it, and I won't do it anymore because the whole team around them didn't want to get exposed to what idiots they were and how they were ripping off the celebrity. And so they did everything possible to stand in my way. And then they got the celebrity convinced that I'm a numbnuts. And then he started badmouthing me. So I'm like, this is not. So it seems to me that you go in and start tearing up some people's software and stuff that these programmers could get very defensive. How do you deal with that?
What an amazing question. It was a stigma for years. When I cut my teeth in the industry, it was very much a developer versus quality assurance tester guy. Like you would find a bug and people would be pissed off and they would be angry at you that you found a problem with their code. But as software has become every day for every person, people want to write good code. People want to write good products. And if there's stuff that's broken out there and they're associated with it, that looks bad on them, and they realize that now. So over the past decade or two, people have come to appreciate, and especially C-level people whose name is on the product and they it's representing them. That's kind of communicated to those organizations that, hey guys, these guys are here to help us. It's an audit of our software. They're going to be part of our team and make sure that everything that goes out doesn't explode in our customers' hands and make us look like idiots. So we kind of help everybody look good. Like we're the last line of defense for software before it hits the customer's hands. So it's a great point. And we've slowly chipped away at that, in the QA space over the last 10 to 20 years.
All right. So what if you find out that the app is total garbage and should be thrown away? Then what?
That's a great question. That's never really happened to us.
I'm sure you've seen different levels of quality.
We've seen different levels, but look, our job is to report all the issues we find. And, it's up to the project development, C-level people at those companies to determine what to do with those bugs and those issues, right? Because we may come up with a list of 1,000 issues, and maybe 10 of those are showstopper where you can't get, that should not be out in public. And those are the ones you attack first. So I think, our job is to help identify what those are, help, give some context and priority around those. So it shouldn't get out into production and be complete garbage. And luckily, we've been able to be selective with a lot of our clients as we've gotten bigger and better. So we don't run into that really anymore. Like we work with good companies that have a good idea, and we've been very fortunate to kind of work with companies that put out good products.
Okay, let's talk about this penetration testing. I mean, penetration testing is far more than just software. I mean, that term, getting in the front door of a big company is a penetration test.
Yep.
Some foreign actor doing it. So just because you see that the software itself is pretty much bulletproof, do you get into the social engineering part of it? How some low-level person is tricked to giving up their passwords, that kind of stuff?
I don't. Our partners do, but I don't. There's all sorts of phishing and scamming that can and does and will happen. We just deal with the software, but a lot of our partners, like one of my good friends, Tyler, runs a cybersecurity organization. Like he has a complete programmer on how to train your employees to look for that stuff, what to do after it happens, kind of remediation steps to get back on track if it does happen. And so it's certainly in the hemisphere, the atmosphere of what we do, but it's not what we focus on.
Now, you have quite a few hobbies. You're really maximizing your life, which is the way I do. I just love that. The one that caught me was AignerAstro.com, and that's spelled AIGNERASTRO.com, where there's these gorgeous pictures of the universe. Probably AI people are trying to do that stuff now, just make them up, But is that just a pure hobby, or are you turning it into money somehow?
I've tried to monetize it to some degree, but
how
I can. So astrophotography is an interesting.
What is it? First of all, yeah.
Yes. So it is as simple. It could be as simple as taking a Canon camera that you have in a drawer somewhere and taking it outside and shooting some long exposures of the sky and starting to get traces of the Milky Way. Right? I mean, it's it's up there, and that's how I started. The little smudge of the screen was Andromeda on my little camera lens, and now I have a 115 millimeter Meade telescope that's like the size of a Canon, and it's all fully computerized and automated and everything like that. So it is in its purest sense, it's taking pictures of space. That's super oversimplified, but you're taking pictures of gases and all sorts of stuff that's out in space that you need to do some really long exposures on. Even to pick those things up, and you need filters over those camera lenses to even pick up some of the gases that are out there in space. But then you combine all those things together to make a final image. You process those images with a bunch of different complicated software, and then you're kind of done at that point. But I built a community. I consider myself kind of a community builder.
Mm-hmm.
We have 1,000+ people in this Friendly Cosmos astrophotography group that I created. Because when I started the hobby, it was just a bunch of old rich white dudes who like didn't want to help anybody. They didn't give a shit. They just like, you ask questions, they act like you're an idiot. And like I didn't like that. I created a small group. It kind of grew over time. And like I said, now we've got most countries in the world represented in our group, and we all kind of talk and share ideas, and we have competitions together, and we do all sorts of fun stuff. We meet up at dark sites and stuff like that. So to answer your original question, you can monetize. I mean, think about photography, right? Like you can monetize photography by selling prints or by training or by doing these other things. There's not necessarily a consulting aspect or a business aspect. You can maybe start a store selling equipment or selling software or something along those lines, but I personally have not, and I've tried. I've tried, and I have not really been successful at monetizing that hobby. And the more I tried, the more it felt like work. And I can tell you the one thing: as soon as something feels like work, I'm out. Doesn't matter what, even if it's work.
Well, what about a more passive, like just listing the photos at stock photography sites for pay?
I've definitely thought about that.
See, I'm all about making your hobbies tax deductible. And so let's giant telescope. I can only imagine how much it cost. And for me, there's no way I would pay something through the nose like that. I would start a inexpensive WordPress website. I'd list stuff for sale or affiliate stuff for sale, and then legitimately make my telescope tax deductible.
That's a great idea, and I did start a sole proprietorship around it, just to try to kind of do the tax deductible thing, but I never kind of followed through with actually monetizing anything. I do have some affiliate links through some of the astrophotography websites out there. So when people go buy gear, I get some percentage of that, but it's a pretty small amount compared to what.
Yeah, your tax advisor will say you can't take $1 million telescope and make $2 and say, it's tax deductible. But one of the hobbies that you have that's very dear to my heart is your flying.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I have some unsolicited advice for you.
What's that?
On flying. So these are the tips I tell all aspiring new pilots from my 2,200 hours in the air and as a Part 135 charter pilot. Here they are. You might want to write them down.
I've got a pen.
Land on the center line. Land on the center line. All right, so you don't flop all over the runway and sideways and everything. So what that is teaching you is maximum control when it counts the most. So land on the center line. Then
I love that.
Make your passengers feel like they're in their living room. Smooth, everything smooth, unless you're up there doing aerobatics or something. Everything is as smooth as possible for the weather conditions, so that it's just a wonderful experience for them. That's when I landed, a lot of times they didn't know I hit the runway. It was just grease, and they call it greasing it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that's the next one. This is one of the most important ones of all. Small, immediate corrections.
Mm-hmm.
Most pilots, they get off course and they get too far off course, so they turn real hard back towards the course, overshoot it, and go way off course again, and then turn real sharp back. And they just zigzag and run out of gas before they get across the street. So small, immediate corrections. And again, that goes with landing on the center line. You're right on top of things every second. Right. The plane doesn't get away from you. And then the big thing is get your instrument rating. Your private pilot's not going to be worth much, but because you're going to get stuck places because you can't fly, So keep going till you get your instrument rating. So that's my unsolicited advice on flying.
I love all of those. I think they're all great, and I totally agree about every one of them. And the instrument is definitely on the radar. Sure. I've got around 70 hours in right now, so I've got all my stuff done. I just got to take my written and my check route. I keep having these damn kids though, and they keep slowing me down. So.
Take them with you. So, and if there was one extra one, it would be to pass your written tests first before you ever go for another rating, because the cockpit is the worst learning environment ever. Right. So before I took one lesson, I passed my private with like a 97, I think, something like that. And so it saved tons of money of just going around in circles at $100 an hour. I don't know what it is nowadays, but start studying for your instrument like now.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So there we go. Now, let me see what else I wanted to talk to you about. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, you have a pretty rigid, I would say, morning routine that everybody wants to know about, including the meditating.
I love that, by the way.
I know.
I wish you would have got that domain.
I know. Somebody else thought of it, too. Folks, about 25 years ago or so, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, and that people at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to teach what they knew to small business people. And I knew a lot of these people. You give them that much money up front, you'd never see them again. So I said, that's too risky. I'm a small business advocate. I'm going to just charge an entry fee to my program, and I'm going to tie my success to your success. So for me to get my 50,000, you have to net 200,000. Well, 1,800 students later, the program is still going strong. It's the longest running, most unique, most successful ever in the field of internet and digital marketing. You get an immersion weekend in the Great Internet Marketing Retreat Center here in Virginia Beach, the biggest state, where you actually live in the house with me for an immersion weekend. We have a TV studio here where we teach you to shoot marketing videos. And you also get a scholarship to my school, which is the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country, which you can use yourself for extra training or gift to someone. And we had one guy spend $80,000 on his daughter's crappy education. She's working a crappy job, and 4 months into the school, she's making $6,000 a month and quits her job and starts an agency. So it's very powerful, in-demand skills. It's not the 4-year indoctrination camps that you just learn how to protest. That's all you do, and you come out and compete for jobs at Starbucks. Check it out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and it's all one-on-one. There's no group stuff. We take care of you personally. I don't like group stuff where you get lumped in with people more advanced or less advanced. So check it out. All right, let's get back to the main event. We got Jay Aigner here, who started a $2 million a year company out of his garage or basement, and is helping families all around the world that's working for him. So that's a great thing. Got a beautiful family that he spends time with. And tell us about your 5 for 5 meditation routine or whatever.
I'm going to start calling it that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you hear the 5 a.m., there's the book, whatever the 5 a.m., whatever the hell that 5 a.m. club. There's some truth to it. I got up at 4:30 today, and the amount of stuff that I get done, I got to get up before the gremlins get up.
Mm-hmm.
All my kids start wandering down around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and my day is just, chaos from that point. Right. So the only way I can get ahead of it is to get up early. I believe that, working out or any sort of exercise is very much tied to mental health. Shed a bunch of weight, got back in shape after, the fun COVID pounds got packed on. So, waking up at 5 a.m., getting the workout in. I also believe full body stretch is really important. Flexibility, mobility is really big since I like to be active and golf, hockey, all that sort of stuff. Meditation is a great way to put that. It's sometimes cliche at this point to say that you meditate, but I am a meditator. I use the Waking Up app with Sam Harris. It's a very specific, type of meditation, but talk about being mindful and just starting to notice the things during the day that are important and just kind of reset and be where your feet are, I think is a big thing. And then journaling is the 5 for 5. I don't see a therapist, and, I have been at various points in my life just from different times, and the feeling you get of telling somebody else all your problems, I kind of emulate that with journaling. Just get it out, whatever's in your head. If you can't get it out of your head, it's just bouncing around in there all day. So I really do think, journaling is kind of the capstone of those 5 things I do every day. Really, you feel like you've done everything. And at that point, the day is much easier. If I haven't done those things, by the time 12 o'clock rolls around, I'm about to jump out of my skin because I know I haven't worked out. I'm not gonna be able to fit it in. I'm not gonna be able to find 15, 20 minutes to meditate. I'm not gonna be able to find, so it's just getting up early and getting those things in has been huge for me.
All right. Now, what do you eat?
I would love to say that I'm like Mr. Clean Eater. I try to be. It's, it comes in waves, but I track every single thing that I eat. I use the Lose It app on iOS, and for about 500 days straight, I've tracked everything I've shoved in my fat mouth, which has helped me recognize when I'm overeating. It tracks your weight, it tracks your intake, so I can kind of my macros and my all those different things. I'm pretty much on top of it, and I know when I'm not eating well. I mean, I feel like shit when I'm not eating well. But I eat. I try to eat 3 square meals. I do intermittent fasting as well. And try to work that around working out and stuff. But I eat relatively healthy, but I've got a sweet tooth, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have carbs and don't enjoy ice cream and all those sort of things that I think some people would like you to believe that they never eat. But I really enjoy those things. So you gotta have fun at some point, right?
There you go. For sure. Well, I've had my share, put it that way. So we do have another thing in common in that I have a documentary produced in Hollywood about it's called The American Entrepreneur, coming out hopefully in a couple of months, and it was about my dad coming from Syria on a cattle boat and turning me into an entrepreneur. Or he was an entrepreneur, turned me into an entrepreneur. Then I've turned thousands of people into entrepreneurs. You have one about your family and time management. And I have one time management tip in my entire career. I want to get your opinion on it. But tell us about the documentary.
What a teaser. I would love to. I'm dying to know what your time management tip is. Seemingly random. I got a message on my website, actually my business website, and I thought it was like spam or something, but it was, I don't think I can go into like all the details yet, but basically, we've had the extreme honor of being included in this documentary. They've come and filmed the family. I just moved back to my house. We were in a rental house for 6 months while my entire house is being renovated. So I moved my family of 7 about 20 minutes from here into a rental house for about 6 months. We just got back. So they documented stuff at that house and at this house. And it's all about time and how you spend it. And, I couldn't be more thankful for the whole experience and my kids getting to be able to do it, my wife being involved. And it's like a fun thing for us to be able to be part of. So hopefully that'll be wrapping up and starting to be edited in the next couple months. But it's about I guess different business owners and just different people. And the thought of the documentary is they could have interviewed experts that write the books, but they wanted to interview the people who are actually out there doing it. And it's people who are busy but still managing to get the most out of their day. So I just feel really lucky to be included in that. So what's your time management tip? I'm dying to know.
Hold on. Is there a working title for it yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
Just call it the Jay documentary.
Yeah.
No, not really. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
They didn't have time to work on it.
No, they didn't have time. You're right.
So I only have one time management tip. I mean, I'm all for this kind of stuff, but every personality is different. I mean, I get more work done than before breakfast than most executives get in their whole career. But I'm pretty all over the place. But my one time management tip that I've rarely ever do not do is, and here's the title for it: half equals empty.
Okay.
Half equals empty. When my gas tank reads half, I immediately get gas. Because I never want to be in a hurry to go somewhere and be out of gas.
Yeah.
That's all.
I like that.
I got. Half equals empty.
And you live your life by that outside of the car too?
Yes. Half equals empty. Yep.
Half equals empty. I like that. Especially if you're in an airplane. I would definitely be worried about half.
I did have one of my biggest mistakes in my career that almost cost me to crash and burn on the Steelers practice field. I was flying out of Latrobe. I stopped for gas. I did all kinds of crazy stuff. I flew millions of feeder goldfish in the plane. You know, they're really heavy. I flew glass beads out of Corning, New York. I flew all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
But I was bringing glass beads somewhere, and then I landed at Latrobe Airport, which was famous for the Blue Angel restaurant. And so I had lunch, and I jumped back in the thing to go to my home base, which is only 10 minutes away. And guess what? The right fuel tank was empty. I mean, a lot of the planes we flew was old, and you know, there's all kinds of crazy stuff with them. So I have a whole story about the checklist saved my life. You know, over and over again. You know, flaps up, gear up, power up. You know, right foot, right engine. You know, all that kind of stuff that you'll learn if you get your multi-engine. Thing. So I almost crashed and burned there.
Well, luckily you didn't.
Yeah, I flew, I got around. Well, on light twin engine aircraft, here's another saying you might not have heard of, is if an engine goes out, the other engine just flies you to the scene of the crash. So I barely got around, landed, the fire trucks are there, and a damn fuel tank was empty. So
Wow.
that was I ignored my checklist on that short 10-minute flight. So throw that on your list too. Don't ever ignore your
the Checklist
checklist.
Manifesto is a great book. I don't know if you've read it or not,
No.
but it goes over the importance of checklists.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. How they get a hold of you? It's JDAQA, right?
That's it. JDAQA.com. Find me on LinkedIn, firstcustomerpodcast.com. And yeah, I'm around. So definitely drop by.
Beautiful. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Tom. You're awesome, man. I really appreciate it, buddy.
All right, everybody. We will catch y'all in the next episode. See you later.